Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. You are about to join a frequency that will open your mind, expand your heart, and activate your spirit. Thank you for joining Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium and Master Energy Therapist. Kelly believes in the power of the Spirit Baby. She speaks with babies in spirit before life, in the womb, and after life. She supports, teaches, and guides others to tune into the intuitive and mystical parts of life for greater wisdom. Join her in meeting your soul baby and build your connection and relationship with deep love and trust. Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio with your host, Spirit Baby Medium, Kelly.
Welcome to episode 94, August 14th, 2020. Energy healing for body and mind coherence and psychic alignment. What is energy healing? How do you create supportive self-care energetically? How can psychic awareness clear space in both mind and body for conception into pregnancy? I have a special guest. My special guest episode is with Stephanie Radtke. She's had a lifelong interest in over 20 years as a practitioner in holistic healing and wellness. Her background in psychology, massage therapy, homeopathy, nutrition, applied kinesiology, and energy healing led her to the study of sound healing. Stephanie is an intuitive clairvoyant who uses the integration of these powerful modalities when working with her clients. Stephanie utilizes color, energy, and sound frequency as a means to releasing long-standing patterns and issues, creating a more harmonious flow in one's life. Hello, Stephanie. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be a guest.
And I'm super, I'm excited with all my guests, but Stephanie's a little bit special here. I have to say that. Many may already know in tuning in, I've been working with her quite often. I'd say every few weeks since the pandemic, because her work in healing to me is extraordinary and really powerful, and it just helps me find my center. And as you hear, she, as intuitive and clairvoyant, which is always so helpful, to really see where the energies are, to really listen and provide that. And I feel like me and Stephanie, I'm trying to rewind back a little bit. We met through another kind of psychic school, a woman who was on my Spirit Baby Summit back in 2017. And then we just connected somewhere in there. I don't know.
Yes, I know. It's really interesting because, we had met and we had that referral, and then I think it was a year or two later I had brought in the sound healing modality, and I literally kind of felt you calling me from the canyon, and I touched base with you out of the blue. Do you remember that?
Kind of, yeah. I think I was a mess.
So I touched base with you. And it sort of just ended up working out that timing was better in regards to us working regularly. And I had kind of brought these modalities together, and it just felt probably a little bit more whole. And so it's really exciting to offer those things now and sort of, kind of tinker around and see what special recipe people need, when working with their energy and with what they're looking to create. So I've always enjoyed working with your energy. So.
Oh, I love it. It's been saving me, especially, I know, tapping into this time, and I'm sure it'll come up in the conversation. But I'd love to hear how there's so many places to begin, because how about we'll begin with, talking about energy with people just for a moment. What is this, when I say energy work, energy healing? I know my audience loves everything with spirituality, energy awareness, and I know that many of, I've been sending a lot of my clients in your direction, because I do feel like energy work, energy healing work, it's such a unique talent to be able to do that and help, especially in this particular space, women in conception, pregnancy, to kind of restructure and look at things. So yeah, if you could just give an idea of what is an energy healing, energy work, what does that mean?
Absolutely. I think everybody has noticed energy. Energy kind of doesn't lie. You can look at somebody walking down the street and you can probably guess whether they're having a good day, a bad day, whether they're walking around feeling fearful or elated. So there's those natural cues that we give each other, you know, and naturally the first way that we actually greet people is with our auric field. And it's these subtle cues that I've worked with for so long that I just pick up on with people, and I just start to clear areas where there might be excess energy or a trauma. So just first step in grounding in any energy work is grounding, you know, just grounding so that there's a space to feel safe and a space for some of that excess energy to go. So I can really say hello to the person as spirit, look at what they're looking to create. And one of the nicest things you can actually do for anybody is just say hello to them as spirit, because sometimes we get so clouded with what's going on in our daily lives that we kind of even forget ourselves, who we really are. You know, and maybe we're bogged down with trauma or, you know, just work and responsibility. So the neat thing with energy work is it's just there for us to move and say hello to, and it's just like a muscle that I've worked with for a long time. So I just sort of move it around, and I have the ability to use, you know, the sound healing tools as well. I use homeopathy and, you know, various things. But ultimately, you know, I just speak with the client and figure out what it is that they're looking for, because it's all about what it is that they want to create for themselves. So
I love how you share that. It's true. Like our energy field is here and people walk into it, and we have that resonance, and we can do it long distance. And even, and I love this part of the session is like, you know, maybe something we don't hear about is like you're energetically helping to infuse homeopathy, like flower essence and sounds. Can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. I started working with a homeopath, I think it was about 13 years ago. As a body worker, I had naturally met a bunch of healers, and I had 2 small children when I started out, and I had used all these different tools to really help them as they were growing up. They're now 17 and 18. And I remember when they got, you know, to around that age that I had just a little bit more time, that I wanted to take that next step. And my mom had been telling me about this homeopath that I finally felt like it was time to meet her. And so I met her. Her name's Pam Salzer, and she really took me under her wing, and I just learned so many amazing ways to even muscle test, use applied kinesiology. She introduced me to homeopathy, flower essences, and just really testing different areas in people and really understanding how chemistry drives behavior and, you know, even structure and everything with the body. It's all combined. And so I sort of took this holistic approach and really started adding it to my body work. And just through self-study and through my own healing, I've really been able to share that with people. So as far as the flower essences go, we have some botanical alchemy flower essences that are literal, like where some are like, you know, clear communication or healing heart. And then I also work with Bach remedies that are a little bit more where, you know, I muscle test and I see what somebody needs. And there's sort of like special tinctures where I do up to 7. And then the homeopathics are really great because they actually clear things on a generational level. I'll give you an example. Earlier today, I was working with a client who had been talking to me about poverty consciousness. And so I said, I'm going to test you for Serinum. So Serinum has that concept of poverty consciousness. And she tested for a 1M. And that means that the remedy has been diluted 1 million times, which if you're thinking about homeopathy, if you take something like a 30C, it means you're kind of right up close and you're working directly with the body. And as you dilute it over and over again, if you were to think of it as a projector on a movie screen, you're moving that projector really far back so you get the bigger picture. So sometimes in life, we're creating patterns that we have generationally. So there's an ancestral piece. And so the great thing with homeopathy is it can clear way back. So we gave her a 1M of the Serinum, which was clearing a lot of old poverty pictures, and it was just a way to really clear something on a generational level that really she doesn't need to bring those issues into her present time life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but why does that happen? I mean, that's a big question too. I love that how you said that, because I love homeopathy, but I don't really know, like, you know, I don't know that much about it. I know I've taken remedies and you've helped me put them in my energy, but I'm curious more about, you know, talk about that generational piece. Like you're saying, oh, does she need it? Does she not need it? You know, I don't know if you can answer this. And then why do those things show up?
Well, one, I think that when we're actually ready, you know, when there's a wave that uncovers some stones that are ready to be picked up so that our walk in that sand is not rough. You know, sometimes we want things to be now, and we look and we're not finding those answers and we're not finding those people. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's time. Like, I think with homeopathy and with things being generational, you know, my mom's a twin, for instance, and twins generally skip a generation. So it's the same thing. I mean, I have a daughter who's 18 who has some characteristics from my mother that I don't have. You know, I just didn't get that, you know, in the pool of things. So it's the same thing. You know, sometimes I believe that we come into life with certain things to work, you know, and sometimes, you know, somebody can create money effortlessly and they can't, no matter how hard they try, keep a relationship or whatever it might be, you know. And so then I look at patterns. And so the homeopathy will help clear patterns. So the sound healing, so does the energy work. So it's sort of, you know, it's a special recipe every time I work with you. You know, we come up with different things that, you know, clear and help you move along on your path easier. And so the idea really is listening to what it is someone's looking to create, what it is that's coming up for them, and, you know, what it is that they might be suffering from, and just going from there.
Yeah, and I'd like how you said it's patterns, like these different patterns. It seems more forgiving.
Absolutely.
To be like, oh, gosh, because it's like, oh, I know personally, I'm like, oh, ancestral, oh, my gosh, this feels like a lot of information that I may not even be aware of. And Stephanie knows, and we've been working so deeply together. And I love to share this with people, and their jaw drops when they hear this story. I said, when Stephanie, we really started the healing relationship back in the new year when I was sick twice, like really bad. One I suspect was actually COVID, which literally is every single symptom. And I had that in like the first of the new year, and it was literally like 3-day fever, lung, and then totally sick, cough with her for like 14 days. And then I had a few-day window of a break, and that's when I remember you contacted me, and I was a wreck. And I went to strep throat. My body just was not. I went into major sickness again. I remember you did a long distance, and I just was so ungrounded. And I remember you talking about my throat and this ancestral piece, and I thought, with all this healing work I've done for so many years, it's never come to me in that way of like, oh, yeah, ancestors or other people. And I remember, I was like, I had like strep throat like 100 times. I'm like, that's not normal. And then you said something that I had to sit with for a moment, and it was like something on your grandparents' side of your father's mother. And I was just kind of like, oh, what is that? Oh, what does that mean? And then it came to me is that my grandmother died of throat cancer. And then it was like, whoa, it was like, what's happening here? I was like, this is really, and I was just so much more curious about that. And I still am, because I'm like, what is this? Because I always imagine like, oh, if I was younger and I knew this information, maybe that would have helped to not get 100 times sick. Because I'm a physical manifester of a lot of energy. And so that's really been my path, I've noticed. So I thought that was really, really powerful and really interesting. And so it kind of, you know, provokes my curiosity. And I'm sure, you know, even with other people, you may see these different things and patterns come up, and to know that, I guess that we have a kind of an option to shift that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I think that right now we're in a really wonderful age where there's so much coming together where we can actually really support each other, and there's so much information and so many different modalities. You know, it's really, wherever you put your attention, it's your focus, it's going to get bigger, you know. So there's a lot going on in the collective. There's a lot of fear. But what I really like to focus on is a lot of healing and a lot of process and a lot of information. And so it's really actually very exciting. Some of the triggers, they kind of suck, but they're up. You know, it's like a wave that uncovers some stones in the sand that you wouldn't know if you didn't get that wave. You wouldn't even know they were there. And so I think of it as an opportunity, you know, and so it's about kind of following those crumbs along the way and seeing what it is that really works for you to clear and really walk your path with as much ease and grace as possible, you know. And so, you know, clearing any ancestral pieces and patterns can happen from most of the time. I see like really big patterns happen from traumas, which sometimes are really small, but to a kid, it seems really big, you know, even if it's not anything that's, you know, in the ancestral line and it's something that's actually within this lifetime. And we, you know, I test and I find that it's, you know, between the ages of 5 and 10, and it's like, okay, what happens? And I usually get an exact number, but most of the time people are like, oh my gosh, that's right, that was really awful. And then all of a sudden it can kind of flow into another area that you see zero relation to. But because there's that trauma, it sort of starts to affect other areas. And so the beauty about energy is it has no space or time. So we can work anything. You can't change the past, but you can take the charge off of the past, and you can allow yourself to walk your path with a lot more ease and grace if you just release some of that charge. So the beauty of energy work is just bringing in different energies, allowing old things to release. Sometimes things are kind of trapped in the body because the body hasn't had time to actually express it. So, you know, it just depends on the individual. But there's so many different ways to go about it. No soup is the same.
I like that. And I like a good soup. I like different kinds of soup.
Right? I love variety. It's fun.
I want to hear about sound because I really love, I've seen you in person. And I think it was a while ago now with everything, the way everything is now, but we do a lot of long distance. And I really love the tuning forks or the sounds that are used. It's like, even when I was in person, even at long distance, there's something, it always sounds so different. I don't know if I'm like hearing the sound or it's the way the energy is moving. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. One of the most amazing things about the tuning forks is that the body is so intelligent that I can put the tuning fork in the outer field, the outer edge of somebody's field, whether I'm in person or long distance. And any imbalance or incoherence in the field will notify the body immediately of this imbalance, and the body will autocorrect. And so it's like it's the same way that you would tune a guitar or tune an instrument. So the body naturally will react and notify and adjust to any sounds that are letting the body know that it's not resonating right there. And so when I work with that, I get a lot of information. I also, because of being clairvoyant and clairaudient, I hear a lot of things. I hear songs in addition to the tuning forks, but so a lot of times I know if my clients are dealing with heartbreak or different things based on the songs I'm hearing. But the beautiful thing is that the tuning forks just notify the body and the body autocorrects. So, you know, it's not like I'm a magician or anything. I'm just, you know, this conduit, and I'm just enjoying watching your body, your amazing, miraculous body heal itself. And then that's when the motions and all of the different things that might feel off kilter start to rebalance. And so a lot of times people do, it's sort of like better out than in. You might have an initial, you know, release, and you might feel like crying because you have some old trauma or old grief coming up. But afterwards, and actually even before that comes up, there's just such a lightening of the body, of the energy body, of the spirit. Everything just sort of gets uplifted, kind of like when you listen to a song you really like, and it just kind of, you know, shifts your space. It's the same idea.
I really like sounds. I always think of like the drum or the crystal singing bowl, and the tuning forks. I've always been very curious, and I like how you're saying it's like the frequencies and how it balances you off. And it makes me curious now, because one of the things that pops in my head is a majority of the women that I see around the world around conception and fertility, you know, going, hey, I've been on this journey forever. And how does that affect, you know, the body? What have you seen even in the sacral or even in other parts of the body, like how that can create? And is it, is it chronic? Like, do you have to keep doing it to get the effect, or is it different? Maybe it's different every time.
I think one of the things that happens, and it's one of the first things that I clear with people when they want to create something, is the energy of failure or judgment. Both are kind of freezing energies to your space, so they sort of stop you in your tracks a little bit, feeling like you're not able to do something, and then you kind of get stuck in that loop. So releasing that, and sound always has that movement. So even if sound goes off pitch for a minute, it can kind of bring it back. And so that's kind of the idea, like you may not succeed every time, but getting brought back to like the original goal and not getting stuck in the mishap of it, really looking at where you're throwing the ball, not so much how you're going to get there. So that's the beauty of sound, is you just kind of follow it. You just listen to the song and listen to the expression. And so the same idea really goes with energy and energy flowing, is that when there's movement, the actual psychic definition of a psychic, or the definition of a psychic healing, is just a shift in energy. So just getting that flow, it doesn't have to be anything incredibly profound, although sometimes it very well is, and sometimes it's the most simplest answer because we were looking far ahead and too complicated, But yes, like drumming or any patterns that actually have coherence and that calming nature, the body will start to match that. So listening to coherent sounds is actually really going to soothe the body. One of the first things that happens when I start tuning is that everybody reports just feeling calmer. Some people fall into a little bit of a twilight. But I believe that, sound and color and vibration and all of that just really can bring so much healing to the body.
Oh, I love that. How, yeah. So it's the harmonizing, really. And
exactly.
And it's like bringing it back. It reminds me of like when we're trying to do something, maybe with our physical body or something, that it may take time to kind of adjust it and restructure it. And I know that even energetically, again, I'm a physical manifester, so I get these chronic things and I'm like, oh gosh. But it's true, I feel like once that vibration is changed to really nice, when it's like, when you're dealing with issues, and I know some women who are dealing with infertility going, oh, darn, there's that thing again, or there's the endometriosis that seems to be the obstacle, or it's the fibroid, right. Or, but then there's a journey in that, of course. It's not like, okay, well, let's put a Band-Aid on it and it's fixed overnight. It's like that's why I feel like the energy work for a lot of women is really good, sure. Especially empathic women, to go, okay, where are you? There's just so much junk happening. But I want you to talk about even just the self-care. And I know Stephanie just did she does these like great little groups, and I was a part of it, and it was energetic hygiene. Don't we all need that? I'd love to
No
hear.
kidding.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. So everybody that's listening right now, just go ahead and rub your hands together and then just say hello to that creative energy that's right out in front of your lower belly. And it might feel bubbly. It might feel pink. You might find a color or a sensation or be able to give it a word. But this is a huge amount of creative energy that's super, super attractive to other people. So one of the things in energetic hygiene is really making sure that you're using your energy to work for you. It's about no energetic codependence, right? It's independent. So, just sort of allowing everyone to be able to use their own energy for them. So, the idea of really maintaining your own space and just allowing for that release. It's really natural for us to have normal energy exchanges. When you think of somebody and then they call, it's because we naturally cord each other. In ideal energetic hygiene, you're going to remove that cord when the conversation's over. And that does not always happen. So we often get our energies intertwined with someone if we have a matching trauma. So sort of like, saying, oh, I have that same necklace, and then you hold them close together and they get all tangled up. And then all of a sudden this trauma seems maybe like, you have someone to share it with, but then it gets a little bit more complicated because they're not exactly the same. And so the idea with energetic hygiene is really around just kind of keeping your space clean. And I don't know, I remember when I was in school, the teacher would say, just worry about yourself, keep your eyes on your own paper. And that's not really the reality in everyday life. We kind of want to be there for each other. But ultimately, if you keep your own energetic body clean, then you'll be able to be there more for other people as well. And so the idea is also to have that energy so that you can be in your highest good and in your highest creativity. So that's really what yesterday's session was about. And I felt tons of different areas of my body releasing because of being a body worker. And I didn't always have all these tools. And so I think that I was releasing from areas that I really hadn't realized that were kind of laying dormant for some time. So I think the next few days will be really interesting as I continue to process.
Yeah, I love that, just even the wording, energetic self-care. And I mean, I've heard this for a long time, but it's like, I know where I could be irresponsible and where I do need that more support. And I'm just kind of like, I know it's not just me, and it's many others that are not just in the healing arts, but even just, dealing with the life and the world and especially empaths. I feel like it's like, what's happening? We need to be heart-loved, responsible empaths. We don't want to feel like, okay, the world is just collapsing on the empaths. It's like, no, the empaths have an ability to shift the energy and make it not the collapsing inward, of the challenge. But that's what we hear a lot, You read about it. It's like always, I almost feel like super negative.
Well, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You're making me think of something that's really interesting. I learned this in women's energy class I had taken quite a few of them. But women are naturally programmed to bring in another being and to create, to make better, and then when we're not actively doing that, one of the things that is often very common is that we'll be in guilt because this is just a regular program for us. So it's really common to even take other people's problems or, whatever they're doing and sort of kind of make that better and hand that back. And so that energy I was having you say hello to out in front of your lower belly is really attractive to other people, especially other people that may not be using their tools for themselves. So that's another part of that energetic hygiene of saying hello to your energy tools and using them for yourself and making sure that when you're doing those creations that you're really doing it and creating what it is you're looking to create. Like sometimes people are going towards the goal and then they get there and they're like, wait, I don't even know if I want this, or did I plan this, or how did this happen? So, and it could be a million different things. It could be a job. It could be, bringing another life into the world. It could be, you name it. So I think it's really important to kind of notice that ability we have as females. And as females, we probably are more empathic generally, but just the programming, we use more words than men. There are differences, and so where is it in that creative nature that we have that are we living it to our fullest? Are we fulfilling what it is we really want to be doing? And if we feel like there's some failure or some mishaps around that, definitely just looking at that, allowing for imperfections because, that's really, the master has failed more times than the beginner has ever tried, right? So it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't always have to be exactly how we planned, and it's okay to have grace with ourselves and to bring in just healing and nurturing and just, whatever it is we're looking to birth, just looking for those creative ideas and those energies and bringing in helpful people along the way or energies that are going to help us get there. I don't know if I'm on a tangent.
No, you're good. I feel like because there's so much to say about that energetic part, like you're talking about, we're talking about the homeopathy and then the flowers and the sound and alignment, because energy, the way it moves and how it communicates to us, it's not this, this a confusing outside force. It's like a part of us. I felt like you were saying that, like the way it moves and how we connect and how we're connecting with our body, especially in conception, you know, seeing women go 3, 4, 5, 10 years, right? And then just questioning, like, what is this? What's happening? And as I say, of course, not everybody's journey is the same, for sure. And this is why I like the energetic, because where we are energetically one day may not be where we are in a week, right? It's like, but there are some still stuck energies. Is there anything more you can share? I'd love to hear just what your experience has been with women that have infertility or have dealt with that from that energetic perspective, whether it's the womb or whether even it's the partner. Anything you can share about that, or even, I don't know, even experiences with other people and things that you've seen?
Absolutely. Well, one thing I look at is just what comes up for me as priority when we're working with the individual. You know, I've worked with some women who I immediately see kind of like maybe scar tissue or an area where I also will not only clear the area energetically, but I can also recommend, you know, nutritional things that might help clear that. Like scar tissue is actually a circuit breaker. So, you know, having old scar tissue can actually, you know, take away from the real creativity in the body. It will end up kind of going there first. So working with any scar tissue, I do scar tissue healing. But also, any patterns, whether it's ancestral or whether it's something that happened when they were a child. I usually get the hit in the first session, you know, what the priority is, and we just work it, and then we just sort of like peel it like an onion. And sometimes it's something really simple. You know, sometimes one trauma could have like sort of set someone back, and then sometimes it goes a little bit deeper and it's a little bit more, you know, intertwined. But I don't really think, you know, energy is, the coolest thing about energy is that it just moves effortlessly. You know, I mean, really, it really can. It's just there for us to just postulate. You know, it doesn't have to be in spaces where it's stuck. You know, we just have to actually notice it and then allow it to release. But I have worked with people that, like a random pattern when they're 6 years old, you know, some sort of trauma has happened, and then I noted the scarring in the fallopian tube, and why it ended up there, I can't say, but it just, you know, that's just where it seemed to jump to, or maybe the scarring was from something else. But working with all of that in that timeline really healed that area and allowed her to move forward. I do think that partners play a big role, absolutely. I think that's another part, actually, of energetic hygiene. You know, sometimes partners want so bad to help that they almost get sort of intertwined, like those necklaces I was talking about, and it's easier to just kind of give a little space, you know, and to kind of clear room for the miracle, you know, and take the effort out of it. One of the very basic things that people can do for over-efforting is just holding their pinky finger. And I know that sounds completely simple and crazy, but when you're over-efforting, holding your pinky actually can calm your body and your energy body, and you can switch hands. I know lots of little things like that because I found sound healing kind of last, but I had this really fun journey just, you know, with the homeopathy and the flowers and the body work and you know, motherhood and all the different things that I had, you know, kind of found along the way. And I'm super playful. I'm a Leo mama, so I love information and I love learning, and so I love trying new things, and that's really what I bring to the table. And really it just depends on the individual. You know, if the partner needs to relax a little, if the partner has too much effort in the space, you know, I just look at each situation individually, and I just go from there.
You have me touching my pinkies right now.
I actually started
I'm like
holding my own.
To you, like, I'm going to hold my pinky. And I was like, I never thought about that. I like that. It is playful, but it takes me into a different perspective and perception of my body right now. They are different. The left pinky feels like it wants to be held more. And it's more, I feel it more, but that's, we talk about that. My left side of my body feels more. My right pinky is just kind of like whatever. But there is
well, here's what's really interesting is actually your middle finger is for anger. It's the liver meridian, And you can hold your middle finger if you're feeling angry. If you're having a hard time sleeping, you can hold your thumb. But these are just simple little fun tricks that during a session, especially long distance, where I have someone else kind of interact a little bit. But I was holding my pinky too.
I know. I was like, oh, this is a little pinky. It feels so delicate. And then I was like, I like that. And I was even, when you were doing the belly thing before, I was like, I'm on it because, again, I'm physical. I'm a physical energy being. And even when we were talking about earlier, it made me kind of reflect when I'm, reading people. And this is the beauty. This is what I love about, we get a little clairvoyant going, because we both, and this is what I teach the students I work with, everybody has a different way they're receiving information and energy. But the beauty is I know if me and Stephanie, if we were to work with one person together, we'd probably come up with the same answers, but maybe in a different symbolic form. And totally. Because in how we read and how we connect. And when you were even just talking about, what was the word used? The circuits. Yeah, I love that. The circuit's not working. And to me, when I see this, I see it as tension in people's bodies in certain areas, and I question their tension. If it feels like, why aren't things moving? But then that's when I send them to you to help clear the tension.
It's so funny because when you're talking, I'm thinking about how everybody, just like we have different fingerprints, everybody has their own we have your own signature soul note. And so
I like that, yeah.
I know, right? And like the beauty of the work is just allowing that soul note to be expressed in its highest good. And it's just like, ding, it really can get that easy. It doesn't, then that's when that whole efforting, and releasing effort or failure, disappointment and grief. And these are all energies. I think we talked about anger not that long ago in one of our conversations. And, anger is this wonderful moving energy that we're often taught to kind of stuff. And that's when it gets unexpressed in the body, and some of those traumas actually, the body will interpret some of that as trauma. So it's allowing certain energies just to flow through and be expressed. And then everything that you're looking to create and express ends up being able to have this kind of red carpet laid out for it instead of this, mountain climb of a journey. It becomes a little bit more easy.
Yeah, I like the way you say that, because I know, like you say, like these different emotions, despair, depression, anger, rage, and I know even just working with rage and anger with you, I was like, the way you said it was like, it's not about blocking it or stopping, because that's what we want to do, and or women aren't allowed to feel that way, but it's more of the way I feel like the way you said it was like, it's just, maybe it wasn't the word outlet, but it was like, it just felt like it was just this other vine of energy that wanted flow. That's all. It just wants flow. We don't have to like cut it off and pretend it's not there. It's just giving it a channel to move through. And that, like, I really resonated with that, because I was like, because I've been dealing with a lot of rage, and now I'm going to be more transparent. Everyone's listening in within my body, and so I'm like getting really deep. And I've shared on my podcast some things I didn't think I would share, and I'm like, I'm just going to say it. And I do, and I'm just like, okay, I'm a person. But my thing is internal inflammation is what happens, right? Women, even if you're tuning in, reflecting on like, you have high levels of inflammation. It's not just you're not eating the right thing. It goes deeper than that. And so it's like, where are those healthy channels of moving all these energies in ways where it doesn't feel like it becomes stuck, right? And then it builds up some scar and some, it becomes something that feels then impossible, really, to receive and love, because we don't want to love that part of ourselves, right? It's like, I want to push it away.
Right. And it's like, I like to embrace it, like, that fire, like, let's let it move. Like, it's okay. You don't want to blast anybody, but like allow it to have an expression somewhere that isn't in a wound or a discomfort in the body, but maybe, just, one of the things I also do is just, teach you how to run your own energy and the different vibrations, and really work with, different percentages, so you're not overrunning, like you don't want to over scrub your body when you're cleaning it, but you want to allow, the cleansing to happen, you know, and the process to happen. And that's what makes us feel better and lighter. And instead of stuffing
I like how you said that. That you are. You're like, you're giving away. So then it's like, okay, now how am I working with my emotional space, and where is my energy? And I know, again, everybody's experience is so different in that space. I always tell people when they're looking into energy healing or work, and now I'm so thankful I have a strong resource here, because I was like, I used to do energy work and I don't do that the way I do it. I feel like I have a different purpose now. But then I was like, wait, who am I going to, I'm telling people to go get energy work, but then they're like, well, okay, Kelly, what do I do? I'm like, and then I'm like, who, you know, because I feel like when I'm sharing any referrals, have to really trust those referrals and feel really good about it, and feel like you actually can create change and difference. And so, coming back to, I'm like losing my thought a little. But just, having that space to be able to show up and go, okay, like, where's my energy? And I know for me, since I am clairvoyant and clairsentient, and we now know probably a bit clairaudience as I'm working with Stephanie, where my resistance of clairaudience is very strong, let's say, whole other conversation. But my clairsentience is so incredibly strong. And so I always have a felt sense experience in when I'm doing any type of healing work, especially with Stephanie, now that I've built a relationship with her, I feel safe and I could be vulnerable with her. Since my felt like I was dying in the bed with strep throat, it was like she saw it all, and it was no judgment or pain around it. She was just like, okay. I almost felt like she picked up this like sickly, pathetic feeling inward experience, like just held me and was like, okay, we're going to do this and clear this. And I mean, it was so, for me, it was so instant. I felt like, oh my God, there's my feet, there's my body, and I'm connected. And then I'm like, oh, you know, this is good. This is like really nice. And so, you know, seeing where so people could show up, I feel like, for an energy session. My point also coming back to was, I tell people, just go with the intention of release and just show up and listen, and don't overthink it, and just, you know, receive and be present. And if you don't feel anything, that's okay. That's okay too.
I'm not sure if I've ever worked with anyone that didn't feel anything, to be honest with you. They might not at first.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
You might not see it, and that's totally okay. But that's actually probably only temporary, because that just means there's a lot of energy on, the seeing part of it for you. But, I mean, that's why my original business was called Hands to Mend You, you know, and I was a body worker. And when I started working with the energy, and I was hearing songs all the time because of my clairaudience, and I was, you know, moving energy, and I came into the sound healing after that. And that's where Restoring Harmony Within was born. And that's really what I like to do with people, is really from the inside out, you know, like really to where when you're digging deep inside and questioning things or feeling these emotions and wondering what your path and purpose is, it's about restoring that harmonic, you know, that signature soul note that everybody has, and it's beautiful and it's individual. And every time that I work with you, it'll be different, because each day is different. And it's just always about being, you know, in that present moment and just going with the flow, you know. But it really is, it's those times where we get trapped and we kind of get stuck and sort of maybe stuck in a past experience or trauma that kind of hinders us moving forward. And so I've had plenty of my own traumas, and so I'm a product of my own, tools. So I'm really happy to share. I'm happy to share a lot of wins. I have a lot of loss too, but I'm grateful that I've been able to pick myself up and move forward. And I love working with people, both female and male, in anything that they're looking to create. I'm really looking forward to connecting with more people and working this way. Since the pandemic, I've increased my remote work, which has actually allowed me to reach more people, which is really exciting. And that's a gift that I've been learning from you as well, Kelly.
Yeah, restoring harmony makes sense. I do feel like that's what you do because I do feel like, you know, that's what it feels like, and I definitely feel very heard, and I don't feel like there's a lot of pushing of shadow work, which is very different. I feel like depending on what kind of healing energy, but it's energy that kind of, it continues after working with you. You're sitting and you're just kind of releasing, unloading, and reflecting, and just kind of seeing, what is the next part of that path. But I'd love to hear, we're coming just up to the end here, ways that anybody can contact you, your website or email, also any upcoming events that you have that you'd like to share.
Absolutely. I will be doing a creativity and fertility series that's going to be on August 22nd. That's going to be from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you have any questions or want any information about me, I am available online at restoringharmonywithin.com. My email is stephanie@restoringharmonywithin.com. And my phone number is online as well. I do have some other series that will be coming up in regards to more energetic hygiene. I'm going to be doing a heart mapping series, which is all about just really pumping that love and that brilliance through your body. I don't have set dates for those, but absolutely contact me, or of course contact Kelly if you have any questions. And I really look forward to speaking to anybody who's interested in finding their own signature soul note and its highest good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. Pleasure.
Yes, and thank you for joining episode 94. If you like my podcast, please subscribe, leave reviews. And thank you for joining Spirit Baby Radio this week. Please check out my book. It's a journal, Sacred Communication, a Spirit Baby Journal. And to learn more, also coming up is Spirit Baby Oracle cards, which will be on sale. I always say soon, someday. They may be on sale when this is connected. Who knows? But you can visit at spiritbabymedium.com or soulbabycommunication.com.
This is Spirit Baby Radio. Thank you for joining Kelly in the energy of awareness, love, healing, and soul communication. Please join the next episode at www.soulbabycommunication.com.